review of Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wade Take the Mic.
It is Review of Raw. I'm John Pollock, joined by Wei Ting.
That's right.
Are you ready to go back to school?
The School of Raw?
No. Back to Kansas City for Raw on Monday night.
Yes,
the Labor
I
Day
am.
edition, Wei.
No, the worst day of the year.
Well, also providing some great forms of comedy.
What?
This is all going to happen on this episode of Raw.
Oh, okay.
So
all
get
right.
excited.
Yep, I am.
All
Very
right,
excited.
we're going to take you through Monday's Labor Day edition of Raw. While you were out there enjoying your final day of the summer, we were watching Raw for you, so you didn't have to watch it. It kicked off, Wei, with a recap of last week's show and the closing minutes of the title match with a timeline starting at 11:01 p.m. and the reaction worldwide via Instagram to the return of Triple H. And one of the best quotes to this reaction, Wei. What was your reaction when you saw Triple H, Wei? If you were on Instagram and you had to just write your immediate reaction to Triple H giving the title to Kevin Owens, what would you send out via Instagram?
Maybe like the ghost emoji.
That's all you would go.
Yeah.
Well, there was a brief quote that was there on the screen for a fraction of a second that I caught, and it read, "Favorite moment of my life." And I just thought to myself, okay, there's a lot of goofy fans out there. No way someone wrote this. No way someone...
No, I believe it, dude.
Well,
Some people have really sad lives, and this might have very well been their best moment of their entire life.
Well, Wei, you being the cynic was very correct, because I should have been tipped off by the Instagram.
Let's call this person out.
At WWE is my heart did in fact write favorite moment of my life last week.
Did you search the rest of this person's profile to see?
It was all wrestling. His profile is his favorite wrestlers. That he is a guy.
We shouldn't call this guy out. Maybe he just really.
He
likes
was called out on cable television on the USA Network. His handle was there.
He really likes wrestling.
He put it out there for the world to see. He wants people to know that last Monday was the highlight of his life.
I'm saying we shouldn't ridicule him.
Birth, marriage, children, a graduation. No, Kevin Owens winning the title. Greatest moment of his life.
Well,
because WWE is his heart. And it is beating strong. Then we went earlier in the night, 36 minutes earlier to the start of the main event for our proper recap of last week's big title change. Certainly giving this a sense of urgency from last week and building off of that momentum last week. I thought this was a good video package to recap things, Instagram quotes included.
I did too. I think they're getting really creative with these. And of course, these opening packages are always exclusive to Raw. But, you know, they're not doing your typical recap just chronologically. They were being a little bit more creative, and I think these are always edited really well. I always learn a lot about editing and color grading and slow-mo watching.
10 years ago, they could have done a great 24 mock-up here, going back to last week with the clock.
Yeah.
4 screens, Hunter's perspective, Owens, Rollins, Reigns, all of their different perspectives, and then they all come together, like GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Battle mode.
Very nice.
Stephanie is on the phone from earlier in the day, and Kevin Owens is demanding a big celebration tonight, and Mick Foley appears, and he is very upset that Triple H made him look foolish last week, and all week long he has been trying to get a hold of Stephanie, and she has not responded to him. Not via text, nothing. And Stephanie denies that she had any knowledge of what Triple H was going to do last week, and Foley has a very hard time believing this, and he goes back to the night of the King of the Ring, 1998, when he went backstage and he saw Stephanie consoling a close friend of theirs who had just lost a loved one, that being in reference to Pat Patterson, whose name was not mentioned here, and says that he saw a young Stephanie 18 years ago who had this shy smile, and says that, "Do you still have that shy smile, Stephanie?" And Stephanie then just breaks down and says she was embarrassed last week, not just as an executive, as a chief brand officer, but as a wife. And she's trying to keep her dignity, and she didn't respond to Mick because she just didn't know how. And Foley says that he has no choice but to believe Stephanie because she's either a good liar, and that would make her a bad person, and he just won't believe that. So he's going to opt to believe that she is telling the truth here.
Yeah, so the mystery is whether or not Stephanie was in on it. And I really like this. I mean, I think initially everybody was a little iffy on the double GM idea, but I think they've started to hone in on the dynamic between Stephanie and Mick. And I think, Foley right now is playing the good manager who is trying to struggle to get his way against corrupt management.
Stephanie is J.R. Ewing and Mick Foley is Bobby. He wants to believe that his brother is a good guy, but at every turn, he's just let down by the corruptness of JR, who will do anything.
I've told you many times I've never watched that show.
What I'm saying is someone's getting shot.
I don't understand what you just said at all.
Mick Foley's going to be blind.
But I also like the fact that Foley is also the only guy who can talk back to Stephanie. Because Stephanie, many times throughout the show tries to do her typical thing, emasculating Mick Foley. But Foley is the one guy on the show who has been proven to be able to talk back at Stephanie. And I think that makes him a bit more of a compelling character.
So the show then officially starts with Foley and Stephanie now out in the ring with balloons coming down from the ceiling. And they welcome Kevin Owens, who comes out wearing a suit. And we should note that this month they are doing a fundraiser for Connor's Cure. So everybody has these pins and logos. Some of them had them just patched onto their ring gear and stuff. So everybody is wearing these on camera, including Kevin Owens here. And there was this big pyro explosion as Owens is posing on the turnbuckle with the new title. And you could see in the crowd, and later Owens was wearing this, he's got a new T-shirt, the Kevin Owens Show in the style of the old Raw is War logo as well. And Owens mocks the audience for chanting, "You deserve it," and making this about themselves. He says the fans are not great or special. He's known he's deserved this since the day he stepped into this ring, and said Hunter may have showed up last week, but he had already done 98% of the work, and Raw is now the Kevin Owens Show. All boos. He turned this crowd instantly. Didn't take a whole lot of effort, I think, even on his part, but this was good that they established that immediately because this crowd did want to chant for him, and he shut it down instantly. Seth comes out, and he's furious, and he gets upset at Stephanie, not believing that she didn't have something to do with this with Hunter, and says, after all I did for you and Hunter and putting the company on my back, I blew every ligament in my knee for it. Owens is just a puppet, and Stephanie denies she had anything to do with this last week. And Rollins asks if Foley is in Stephanie's pocket too. And then Rollins says how Owens has been Hunter's chosen one since day one and held his hand since NXT. And now he's going to burn this place to the ground. And Owen asks, where has this passion been since you came back? The architect has only been designing blueprints for failure. And he attacks Owens, and Stephanie then announces that Rollins has been indefinitely suspended for his actions, interrupting and then attacking Owens. But Foley says he is not suspended, which the crowd really got into. And Foley says that Stephanie is acting as if it's personal, and we don't hand out suspensions because someone acted in passion after they were wronged. And he says we make rematches, and announces that he doesn't like Rollins, but he knows he's a great talent, and makes the title match for Clash of the Champions, Kevin Owens against Seth Rollins. I thought this was a really solid start to Raw, and this was one of the rare lengthy opening segments. This thing went 19 minutes. I thought this was very good.
I agree with you. I thought everything about the opening 20 minutes here, including that opening package to the backstage segment with Steph and Mick, I thought everything was just really good pro wrestling theater. And I think a lot of that comes down to the strength of the four performers involved here. I think Mick Foley in particular, they really characterized him really well as the good guy authority figure who is able to stand up to Stephanie.
I thought this was his best week since he's been back.
I think Rollins here was great. He's able to express enough anger that feels in line with his heel character, but he plays just enough of a victim to get the crowd on his side without having to beg for it. So I thought he was tremendous. And I thought, you could do a 20-minute segment, but as long as there's enough content there to warrant it and as long as it's captivating, I don't really have an issue. And I thought this was good. The only thing I think that was really missing was some accountability for Triple H. We didn't really get that much of a mention of him, because if I'm Seth Rollins, that's my number one target is not Stephanie. It's not Mick, it's Triple H. I would want to know where Hunter is, and he didn't really do that.
Yeah, there was no addressing Hunter tonight. He wasn't on the show, but you had 4, I would say, excellent performers out here to start this show. It's your main title program. I thought Mick was great. I thought Stephanie was great. And you've got this story that you can play out. You're not just giving it instantly away about where her allegiances are. It gives you this longer story that can play out, and whether she was in on this or not, that could play itself out for weeks and weeks. So I like the fact that too was not just instantly given away in this opening segment, or on this show for that matter. Now it's your chance to be heard on Review a Raw. Each and every week, we're going to be giving away a t-shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees. All you have to do is cut a promo in 30 seconds or less and submit a video link at Law Radio using the hashtag PWTeesPromo, and we will be announcing winning entries each week on Review a Raw. Here is this week's winner.
Colin Cowherd, you're constantly belittling and mocking pro wrestling fans, often calling them grown men who live in their mom's basements. Well, you know who else is a grown man who lives in his mom's basement? UFC light heavyweight champion and a colleague of yours at FS1, Daniel Cormier. And I bet you wouldn't talk that trash to him. So I'll tell you what, whenever you're in the Washington, D.C. area, feel free to look me up and I'll show you what a guy in his mom's basement can do to you.
After the break, first of all, we had a trailer for the next WWE film, Interrogation, with Adam Copeland and CJ Lana Perry, which comes out on DVD and Blu-ray September the 20th.
Great. We'll be lining up.
The bucket list.
Yeah.
After the break, Stephanie is arguing with Mick Foley about usurping her authority, and Foley says he did it because people would accuse her of playing favorites out there. And Owens walks up. He's upset about how Foley has handled this, making the title match, and upset that he was attacked in a suit, no less. And then Foley announces that Owens is going to face Sami Zayn tonight. Chris Jericho walks in, and he calls Kevin Owens the longest reigning Universal Champion in history, which is a great line to use for Kevin Owens.
Which was true as of Tuesday.
And he asks if Rollins is a Holy Foley mark, or if they attended a barbecue over the weekend. Why is Foley and Rollins getting along now? And then Foley announces Jericho will take on Rollins tonight. Weigh your reaction to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, the match you said you didn't want to see for an Olympic cycle.
I just groaned. I mean, I think it's just...
Why is this man not on SmackDown? Now that we've had a month and a half since this draft, what has the point been of this guy being on Raw? None.
I don't know if he's being punished. I don't know. They've really screwed him up, I think, for the past 2 months.
Charlotte and Bayley were next in a non-title match. And Bayley came out, got a good reaction here in Kansas City. And Dana Brooke is out with a clipboard, and it was established on the pre-show she was there to take notes, with Charlotte telling her to learn from Charlotte. Charlotte, which I don't think is, if Charlotte and Dana were going to be this great big breakup and feud down the road, I think it's a great little gimmick that she would be taking notes for months.
Oh, yeah.
And she's scouting how to beat Charlotte. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I don't know if that eventual breakup and match is necessarily going to build. This isn't Dave Bautista and Triple H.
No, I don't really sense it. I think... I don't know.
I think the idea, the clipboard, I like that idea.
Yeah, if they work that into it.
It'll probably be gone after tonight, but nonetheless. Charlotte is mocking Bayley. She has the advantage. Cole notes that Sasha Banks will be here tonight and has some bad news. I guess King Barrett maybe is accompanying her. Bayley reverses, runs Charlotte's head into the turnbuckle. Bayley tries to slide under the bottom turnbuckle for a drop kick, but does not slide on the mat, and from there, goes onto the floor and starts selling her knee.
She bangs her knee against the ring post. Now, I don't know if this was intentional or not. The way they played it off, it made you think that it was. So, whether or not it was or wasn't, they, turned it into something that seemed seamless.
Well, Charlotte attacked the left knee. They went through a commercial break, ran it into the post, used a half crab. Bayley fought back, hit a reverse elbow, or, as it's called in this world, the springboard elbow off the turnbuckle. Dana pulls Charlotte out of the way in the corner and then knocks Dana off the apron, and Bayley sends Charlotte into Dana and then hits Charlotte with the Bayley to belly and gets the pinfall. And Charlotte is furious.
Yeah, like I said, I felt like there was a bit of miscommunication here. I didn't think this match was really all that great. But by the end, I think everything came together, and I think Bayley's selling is really good. So it wasn't a great match, but in the end, it all worked out fine.
And we will discuss where the women's title picture is going after a segment later tonight. They showed a video for the Connors Cure fundraiser, and then a cruiserweight feature on Grand Metalik, Jack Gallagher, and Akira Tozawa as our next cruiserweights that look to be confirmed 2 weeks from now, coming in for the startup of the division. And hey, you and I will get to see a preview of this 2 days before the cruiserweight division launches.
Oh, at Smash, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah,
there will be.
There's a rematch
handful.
between Tyson Dukes and Zack Sabre Jr.
Yes, Zack Sabre Jr.'s on that. Jack Gallagher's on that card.
Yep. Smash-wrestling.com. We'll give him a quick plug.
Charlotte is yelling at Dana backstage, smashes the clipboard down, and calls Bayley the Sesame Street Kid. And Dana says she will do better next time, and Charlotte slaps Dana. This is very similar to the angle that's going on in TNA at the moment with Maria and Allie, which I think is a bit better than this one, but I like this segment here.
I did too.
You actually had sympathy for Dana.
Absolutely. I think Charlotte's been showing so much confidence lately. And you know what? Dana's been coming around too in this role. The thing that I would like to see them change up, though, is the way they shoot these. I feel like this segment, I mean, you think about the great backstage segments from the past, and the ones that stand out are, to me, like ones like when the Mega Powers broke up. You remember when, Savage was in that hospital room and, like, there's just chaos because, like, Elizabeth is like, screaming and Savage is dragging her away. The room felt big. But the way they shoot these, they have to stay blocked in their positions. They have to stay under perfect lighting so that everything they do seems stuck and not believable. Because
We have to be able to see which one's which way.
Sure, whatever. But, I mean, if there was some chaos, if they made the room look bigger, you know what I mean? If they had a handheld camera, just be able to move everywhere and let them kind of move a bit more naturally than just being stuck in frame under perfect lighting, I think it would have really benefited a segment like this.
Catch all of our podcasts daily up at FightNetwork.com. You can also subscribe to Live Audio Wrestling on iTunes and listen through the free Stitcher app. Next out was the returning Bo Dallas, who has had some drama in his life over the last few weeks. He was arrested at an airport a few weeks ago for being drunk in public, but was back. He wasn't on TV last week, but did return here. This was one of his first appearances, period, since the brand split on TV.
Draft,
yeah. For that whole angle that Heath was the one of the group, the social outcast that didn't get drafted. Not only, of course, he is the best off of the two, but the other two, haven't even been on TV. Yeah. And they were the drafted ones.
That was always the point, right? To draft him last to give him all the focus. But yeah, Curtis Axel, what has he done since?
He's on Raw somewhere. So anyway, Bo comes out, and he's got a sign that reads...
Believe in Bo.
Yeah, believe in Bo. Yeah. And Corey Graves said, here is someone you can learn from. And...
Yeah, I guess.
Dallas says, you reap what you sow, to the guy in the ring who is our enhancement talent, Kyle Roberts. This was a record. We had 3 enhancement matches on this show. We had Nia, Braun, and Bo even got...
I don't think Braun is necessarily an enhancement. He fought Sin Cara.
That is true. Yeah, you're right. I guess I
okay, whatever.
I look at it as that. But you're right. Yeah. Bo just kills him with this clothesline, drops down knees and strikes on top. Applied a cravat and was hitting him with knees, and then the roll of the dice, which is what I would qualify his recent outburst as. And he pinned Kyle Roberts, and here was Simba getting the win.
What?
Nothing. Bo Dallas gets the win.
Why'd you call him Simba?
He was singing the Lion King theme, apparently.
Oh.
At the airport.
That should be his gimmick. He should do a Lion
The Lion King, yeah. He was just he's growing into the
he should be
the king of the jungle now.
He would be Timon and Curtis Axel would be Pumbaa.
Okay. Yeah.
How about that? Okay.
Yeah, maybe he should be Jafar, though,
Oh, okay.
because he is technically a heel.
Okay.
Do I have my movies right? Jafar
yeah.
was the guy who killed
No, that's
the...
Aladdin.
No.
You're thinking of Scar, dude.
Scar! That's what I'm thinking of. I knew it sounded like that.
Anyway, this was a perplexing, refreshing, rebranding of the Bo Dallas character. I don't know what they were hoping to achieve here. He just came out with a new Titantron, had a sign. I think he had a new singlet, new finisher, but beyond that, there's no story given at all. Nothing that kind of.
There's no finish I need to see ever again than the roll of the dice.
This wasn't.
It's like when you're out of ideas, it's give them the roll of the dice.
Yeah. It looks good, but I mean, it's. I guess that's what it's very generic. But
great when Reno was using it.
But you know, the finisher doesn't even matter. It's the fact that the guy has no story. There's no context given to whatever change he had. You know what I mean? They should make him how about a pilot?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. Owens and Jericho are backstage complaining about Seth Rollins and Jericho's going to give Rollins the gift of Jericho and calls him an ass, and they hug.
Yeah, a lot of these segments with these two, they seem to be clearly improvised, and I think some of it's good, but I thought this came across kind of awkward, personally.
This felt like it was, okay, guys, you got 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what's the point of this? Just show unity. Okay?
Yeah.
There was a Backlash promo, and they came back, and Michael Cole says, yeah, but there's only one flagship show. I guess it was maybe a SmackDown promo.
Oh, okay, so they're like...
Cole did this a number of times
Yeah.
where it was an isolated ad for a SmackDown or a Backlash promo, and Cole would just come back with a one-liner knocking it. And I was curious tonight, being that the first brand split pay-per-view is Sunday, is how they would treat that. And they did the lower mention of Backlash, but I mean, there was nothing in the body of the show.
They did one, though, off of a scenic. They did do one.
Where?
Like showing the exterior of the arena.
Oh yeah, you're right. They did that.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they would do
They at
something
least didn't
like
have it on the ramp, you know, which was too much for me last week.
Yeah, that's right. The Connor's Cure stuff was all in that placement. You can check out the Law's YouTube channel at youtube.com/liveaudiowrestling. Subscribe for all of your free videos, including Ask Away, interviews, and much more. Chris Jericho taking on Seth Rollins was next. Grave notes that the ratings spiked last week on Raw, crushing SmackDown yet again. And Rollins lands a suicide dive, attacks him around the ring, and then runs Jericho into the barricade as Owens is shown watching from the locker room backstage. Jericho catches him with a drop kick off the turnbuckle. They go to break, and Jericho's in control as they come back. Rollins catches him with a sling blade, hit a blockbuster for a 2 count, and then Jericho is caught with a kick coming off the top, counters and goes for the walls. That's countered into a small package. Eventually, Jericho does apply the walls, and Rollins gets to the rope. Rollins connects with an enziguri, a super kick, and then they're on the top. Jericho gets dropped, and Rollins misses with a frog splash. Rollins kicks out of a lion salt, then the code breaker is blocked, and it ends with Rollins coming off the ropes, turning it around into the pedigree, and pinning Jericho clean.
That should be Bo's finisher. Lion salt.
You're right. Yeah.
Simba.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Jericho can easily give that up.
Rollins does the pedigree, and he looks into the camera before he does it, and the announcers are trying to sell like he's trying to send a message to Triple H. So, yeah, I guess that was kind of your tie-in. I thought the match was really good, and it was kind of our first glimpse of seeing Seth Rollins working as a babyface again, and the crowd is immediately taken to him. His style is so babyface friendly anyway.
Yes.
He's just so fast, does a bunch of spectacular dives, and I think, like, watching this, you really have to respect the guy's cardio, because I couldn't find a spot in this match where he had to stop. You know, the guy was just running around Jericho the entire time, and taking zero breaks. It was
This
a lot
is
of
the
fun.
role he should have been in when he came back from
Yep.
the injury. And a lot of other circumstances led to this.
Yeah.
But I also liked, as you pointed out in the opening segment, that it's not as though Rollins was just a 180
Yeah.
pandering. It was the same character that now has a motivation that the audience sees him as this victim and is so much better suited for this role.
He's still a dick, but, you know, because he has this edge, it kind of makes you like him more. He's Vegeta.
Exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth.
Or maybe Bobby, or whoever.
Bobby.
Some Dallas thing.
No, he's no Bobby. But Cesaro and Sheamus, best of 7 series continued. Sheamus is up 2-0, and there were insert promos by both, and they went over Cesaro's back injury from last week, and Sheamus says, I'm going to break his back. And they will be having match number 4 this Wednesday at the O2 Arena in London, England.
At how so?
Yes. Massive opportunity squandered here, Way.
Why?
Because if we had just skipped tonight's show and Cesaro could go into Wednesday's match down 0-2 at the O2.
That's pretty good.
And they blew it here. So, yeah, I guess that match, it's just going to be for those in London. And that, to me, one of a million examples of something that should go on the network Wednesday night, even if it's just the match.
Especially considering the finish here. I feel like they should probably
It could be the deciding match on Wednesday, and you have no way to see it unless you buy a ticket in London. So Sheamus is attacking the back, dropping knees down. He hits the Irish Curse backbreaker and then lifts him up and hits 3 more. Cesaro kicks out, and then Cesaro gets lifted up onto the shoulders of Sheamus, and he drops him into a backbreaker. This looked great. And then hit a brogue kick, pinning Cesaro in 4:05. So Cesaro is down 3-0 going into London, and the story being that his back is shot, and the numbers are significantly against Cesaro.
I thought they really worked around that back injury really well, and those multiple backbreakers on the back I thought were very effective. And it's, I think this is the way you should do it. You should have Cesaro basically wrestle every match like it's do or die. But do you think that they'll just have a typical finish, or can they get out of that match somehow? Can they do a DQ finish and have it not count in the best of 7?
Oh, for Wednesday's match?
Yeah, I guess not DQ or just, I don't know, some type of no contest.
I think at the very least they should... Cesaro wins it on Wednesday, and they show some of it on Monday. And I think that should... That is how they'll get around it. I think you'll get a finish, though, for the Wednesday match. You don't have to save these matches, especially when there's likely to be 4 more. Afterwards, the Shining Stars are in the ring, and they're stating how it's the end of summer, but every day is summer in Puerto Rico, and they get interrupted by Enzo and Cass, who get a strong reaction. It says how no one is going to buy their Puerto Rican timeshare, and their Caribbean a couple of haters. Not a great play on words. Says when Enzo says when he hears them speak, it's so painful it feels like he's in labor. He then got down onto his back.
Because it's Labor Day.
I got it. Yeah. And he's on his back, pretending to go into labor. And they were able to do Enzo and Cass doing breathing techniques as though Enzo's water had broken. And the crowd was chanting, "How you doing?" at the same tempo of the breathing exercises.
That was the breathing technique was
yes.
How you doing, yeah.
This sounds awful.
It was great.
They actually pulled this off. They got up, they named the baby Soft, and the icing on the cake here was Enzo taking the imaginary baby and committing to the act and handed the baby off to a woman in the front row.
Who just immediately set it down and wanted nothing to do with it. Killed this baby.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they were really good this week.
If you were to describe this to me, I would say this is going to bomb. This sounds awful.
If you describe most Enzo and Cass segments on paper to anybody, they would look terrible. But they this guy Enzo has the charisma to be able to pull anything off. There
is a special technique to getting awful comedy over, and we would see it performed well here, and later in the show, we would see it die a death.
Yes, we would.
Literally. Big Cass and Enzo against the Shining Stars tag match. Cass back body drops Primo onto Epico on the floor, and then Enzo hits a suicide dive. They go through the break. Epico gets the advantage on Enzo, and Corey Graves brings up that Mae Young once gave birth to a hand on Raw, but says the less said about that, the better. This being the woman who a half hour later would be known as a trailblazer and a trendsetter. Primo got tied up in a tree of woe as Enzo crawled to the corner and made the hot tag to Cass, who came in. Empire elbow to Epico, a stinger splash, big boot. He tags Enzo for the bada boom shakalaka. When Primo pulls Cass to the floor to interrupt it, and the referee stops Cass, who's chasing him around, Enzo comes off the top of the high cross, but then Epico rolls him up, grabbing Enzo's shorts, and the Shining Stars get the victory. And Poor Big Cass. From last week to this week, this is about as big a departure from the championship scene as you could see. A feud, no less, with the Shining Stars.
Yeah, I'll say. I think it just shows how weak the tag division is right now when they're making Enzo and Cass start a program with the Shining Stars. Yeah, I don't know. I guess this is the best they got for them right now.
Does this last until the pay-per-view?
I don't know what else they got going on at the pay-per-view. Who else are they feuding with?
No one. No one's feuding with anyone amongst these four. So I guess these two are
kickoff.
Might as well be paired with one another. This will be main card.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about these specific brand pay-per-views. This will be on the main show, and this will probably get like 10 minutes. This Sunday night, tune into The Law at midnight Eastern Time as Dan Lavransky and Jason Agnew will have a full rundown of WWE Backlash, plus chatting UFC 203 featuring CM Punk's UFC debut. It's The Law this Sunday night at midnight Eastern at liveaudiowrestling.com. Tom Phillips is backstage with Sami Zayn, and he thought that beating Kevin Owens would solve his problems and advance his career, but says nothing has happened since Battleground. This was the most truthful promo on Raw.
There's a ton of real-life sentiment you can buy into this.
He actually said, I'm directionless.
Yeah, he said, I find myself feeling directionless, which is basically saying that the writers don't know what they're doing with me right now.
And says, and after all this, it's Kevin Owens that's champion, and yes, Tom, there's some jealousy there. And Owens walks in saying a few years ago he was trying to catch up to Sami Zayn, who got to NXT first, won the NXT title, even got called up to Raw before him, but said this title is the finish line and I won the race. And Owens says that Zayn was only successful when Owens was backing him up. Zayn says the race will never be over between them and he will one day win the Universal title and he'll do it on his own without the help of Triple H.
I thought both of them had really good lines. I think the whole thing about the finish line I thought was great, and Zayn's retort about not needing Triple H's help to win it when he wins it, I thought was really good.
Nia Jax returned, taking on Ann Esposito, who was Miss Monica, a Harley race-trained wrestler from St. Louis. And we got the backstory that Esposito is good friends with Alicia Fox. And Graves calls her a horrible friend for getting her friend into this match with Nia Jax. And Jax throws her into the turnbuckle, hits a reverse splash. Esposito then catches her with a forearm and leg kicks and then goes for a sleeper hold, gets run into the corner twice and tosses her off, rams Esposito into the corner, and then hits a power slam for the win in 1:37. So this, like the Braun Strowman match, there was a lot more selling from the monster than usual.
They all seem to be kind of moving on from your typical complete squashes into more of a storyline.
Yes, we went from a known to friend of a friend.
Yeah.
And even a roster member in Strowman's case. So they're slowly moving up.
But, I mean, Nia Jax, I have to, wonder what's... I still don't really know exactly what her finisher is supposed to be. I think
changes.
She changes it every week. So first it was like a fireman's carry to a power slam, and then it was like a fireman's carry to a side slam. And this week it was like a fireman's carry to a power slam that she twists to the side to land. It was just like,
wait,
make up your mind.
She's not like most girls.
Anyway, I'm still not impressed at all by this girl, and the segment afterwards didn't help.
Not impressed was the sponsor of our next 20 minutes of life, as I felt I was getting older by the second. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are in the ring. They are the retirement specialists, and they are now set on retiring the New Day as tag champions at Clash of Champions. And they welcome the Old Day, as an old man gets on the speakers and does the New Day entrance. And we got this, low tempo version of the New Day theme.
Oh, this was the highlight of the segment for me. This was like a chopped and screwed version of the New Day theme with new lyrics. There was they're actual new. There's a rapper rapping over top of it. So I'm trying to track this song down. I think it's awesome. If anybody can find it, send it over.
All right. Well, you keep hunting for that.
Yeah.
I'm still searching for.
It sounded way better than the original.
I was gonna say I was searching for a point to this segment, and if this music is found by you, it will have one.
Yeah.
So they come out. It's a bunch of guys dressed as old versions of the New Day. One's on a scooter, the other have canes, and
there's a mini trombone.
Yes. They state that at Clash of Champions, Anderson and Gallows are going to beat the PP out of them. The power of positivity. Woods cannot hear them. I, unfortunately, could. Big E's got this huge gut. The crowd were 5 steps ahead of the old day because they were dead. And they do the WWE World Tag Team Champions hip thrust. The New Day comes out and calls this absurd. The older Woods knows that Xavier's favorite X-Men character is Cyclops.
He is the best character, I think.
Why would he know this?
Oh,
They said on 3, state what my favorite X-Men character is.
Because they're best friends. You know?
Who are?
The New Day.
It was Xavier and the guy playing him in the ring.
Yeah.
The guy's an imposter in the ring.
Yeah, I know.
Why should he have been given a line where he knew the answer?
He's trying to prove that these guys aren't really them.
But he knew it.
Yeah.
He said the right name on cue.
I know, but the imposter didn't say it.
Yes, he did.
The imposter said Cyclops?
They both said it.
Did the imposter say it? Oh, really? No, I don't know. I got nothing.
This made no sense.
Yeah.
This imposter had legit points here.
Yeah, this was actually maybe the real Xavier Woods.
We were in a realm now where these guys actually were the older version of the
my
New
God.
Day. That's what this line established.
You know what it is? It's the Clone Saga all over again.
So they then do like the lamest like touching the tip joke that if they touch them, the universe will explode as we get into Back to the Future theories. They chase Anderson and Gallows out. They're in the ring with the old guys who gyrate. New Day stops them to do it the proper way. Then the old guys go to attack them with a cane. Big E no-sells it. Finally, they attack the old guys. The older version of Woods was thrown into the top rope and had to be sent over a second time. And then there was a big ending to the fake Big E. And this fake Big E was on the verge of laughter throughout the final minute of this as he's staring down the New Day. This was an awful segment, and maybe my new choice for worst segment of the year.
Whoa, this was worse than Titus versus Darren Young?
I'm really close on both of these.
Oh, man.
This might have been worse, because this was so much longer.
Let it sink in for a week before you make that decision, okay?
I never want to relive this, so I don't want to think about this a week from now.
This was not a good segment. The beatdown, no heat at all. A lot of it, again, is just their whole thing is inside jokes and kind of nerdy references. That's cool. But sometimes you get the sense that they're just kind of throwing them in there for the sake of doing it, and doesn't always hit.
Because of that segment, Darren Young and Titus did not have the worst segment of the week. For more of Wei Ting and myself, you can catch a review of SmackDown each and every Wednesday morning. Simply go to liveaudiowrestling.com or subscribe for free to Live Audio Wrestling on iTunes. Jinder took on Darren with Bob Backlund in his corner, and Titus is on commentary saying that this Darren Young gimmick is ridiculous. He says he's not jealous of Darren because he has more money than him. He then complains that Young was never great to begin with, and any greatness he had was because of Titus. And Cole just blows off this entire feud by telling Titus, dude, it's just a catchphrase. You shouldn't be taking this so personally about him never being great. Young won with the gut check in 2:15, and then Titus runs down, but in true fashion, the guy running in actually got thwarted by the guy who just had the wrestling match, and Darren killed him on the floor and was separated, and then celebrates with Bob.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna go after this. I don't care at all. I think this is where the cruiserweights could come in and really help the show.
Alicia Fox is leaving the trainer's room where apparently Ann Esposito is dead, and she runs into Nia Jax, who's laughing about her friend, and Jax says, this was awesome. Jax says, this isn't a reality television show. There are real-life repercussions here. Essentially calling this reality show complete BS, which was hilarious. Fox snaps on her in the least convincing fashion possible. The highlight of this being she grabbed a box and she went to go throw it towards Nia and clocked her in the nose. I rewound this no less than 5 times.
Yeah.
She nailed her.
Yeah, she absolutely didn't mean to the point
No, definitely not. She froze as she realized how hard she hit her in the nose.
Yeah.
And to Nia's credit, she pretty much just stood there and took it.
What do you mean? If you were Nia Jax, the same monster...
I would have yelled, damn it.
The same...
I would have lost it.
The same monster heel that's been running through people, she should have tore this girl apart, you know?
No, she shoved her.
She just took it and just walked away.
Well, what I'm saying is her reaction to this unexpected hit in the face.
I'll just say, there's no...
She didn't flinch.
That's not impressive.
She was not booked, though,
Whatever.
to attack her. That's what I'm talking about. This is only what's in her control.
I'm saying this segment was terrible, and they should have reshot it. I'm guessing they did this live, but the whole thing about it was awful.
Well, this was designed to get heat for this match. So Alicia is now going to come back, and we're going to have a personal issue for Nia Jax, which sounds awful.
I know Alicia hasn't been on TV for a long, long time, and last time she was on TV, I guess she was a part of the Bellas, but she's always kind of had that character. When she was most over, she was the character who was just kind of like yelling and doing crazy things, and I think she's trying to reprise that here. But right. I thought she went a little overboard, and she's not at all endearing. It came across really cringeworthy, actually.
Braun Strowman took on Sin Cara, who was pissed last week that America was unmasked, and it was an insult on the lucha culture. So they had Strowman sell more than you've seen in any of his matches up until this point, and then they're fighting on the floor. Sin Cara's hitting him with strikes and jumps off the steps with a drop kick, but then Strowman grabs him by the leg, yanks him to the floor, and beats the count into the ring and wins by countout at 2:11 as he points to his head that he outsmarted Sin Cara and then kills him on the floor and leaves. So we now have feuds for Nia and Braun.
Look, I don't know how you go, again, for Braun, same with Nia Jax. I don't know how you go from being a monster, beating up guys in 2 minutes, to winning via countout against Sin Cara. I think, I guess they want to start feuds, yes, but I think it's been counterproductive. And it kind of exposes Braun as to the level that they audiences might start seeing him at.
Then Sasha comes out. They've been teasing this all show long that she's got some bad news. And she starts talking about how every journey has an end. And then she mentions women like Mae Young, Moolah, Alundra Blaze, Luna, Trish, and Lita, who broke the mold and laid the foundation and wrote the first chapters of the Revolution of Change, and said that there are no more bra and panties matches or the stupid butterfly title. Finally, they did it and became superstars. And how did they do this? Because of Stephanie McMahon, who came onto Raw a year ago and brought them all up. The champion of the women, Stephanie, and her lady balls. She says this is a revolution for all of us, and she does this for all the little girls out there. Says how she used to collect soda cans to save up and go to WWE live events, and being in this ring means everything to her. And she's got an update on her condition, and she's got some bad news. But she gets interrupted by Dana Brooke, who comes out, and she says she's going to use Sasha's broken body to step her game up, comes in, whips the microphone at her, but then gets put into the Banks statement, and Banks tells her to go to Charlotte to tell her that she's taking the title back at Clash of Champions. This was all a swerve by Sasha. What a jerk.
I didn't like the segment at all, especially for Sasha Banks.
What did you not like about it?
They were really trying to hit on that Daniel Bryan note. This is exactly what they were going for, the Daniel Bryan retirement, or even the Mark Henry retirement. But the thing is,
Mark Henry, though,
was a heel
when he reveals.
So think about this. Sasha comes out here, tugs on your heartstrings, and then says, I got really bad news. The bad news is for my opponent, psych. That's just not cool. And I think they tried really hard, but I thought it was a little exploitive of the audience. Though I will say, I think they finally managed to find a way to have Sasha speak in a babyface voice that actually makes her endearing. It's unfortunate that it was kind of used in a segment like this.
I just think that the next time they do some actual retirement speech, another Daniel Bryan incident happens, and you hear some fan yell something disrespectful from the crowd, not believing it, I am not going to feel that bad for this company when they do this stuff and people don't know of what is going to be legit and what's not. And I just felt that this was so backwards for a babyface
it wasn't well written.
To tease this. Yeah. And at the end, she's just playing with all of you people.
Yeah. So do you think they were going to do Bayley versus Charlotte at Night of Champions?
I feel like they're doing a three-way.
okay.
I mean, she beat Charlotte on this show. Yeah. If they were changing direction, I don't think that match happens tonight. So I think we're getting a 3-way at the pay-per-view. Then the final match of the night, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And they fought on the floor to start. Zayn came at the barricade and leaped off with a moonsault. Zayn hit a pair of Tope Con Heroes to Owens on the floor after they returned from the break. Then hit a blue thunderbomb for a 2, sets up for the haluva kick, but Owens rolls to the floor. They fight on the edge of the apron. Zayn gets his neck snapped. And then they go to the floor after Zayn avoids a pop-up powerbomb, hitting a half Nelson suplex. Before they go to the floor, actually, he applies a Greco-Roman knuckle lock, and Owens yanks him off the top onto his bad ankle, and Zayn then rolls to the floor in pain, selling the ankle from 2 weeks ago, and that they've kept from last week as well. Owens goes to powerbomb him on the edge of the apron. It's blocked. Another half Nelson suplex, this time on the floor.
I was surprised by the amount of half Nelson suplexes.
This was overkill to me for something that was not going anywhere.
I'm assuming because it's Kevin Owens and he's taken it so many times and they've proven their trust, so maybe that's why he's allowed to take so many.
I don't know if this is a move you just want to have.
No, you
just
don't.
Be a part of your repertoire that's not a finish. Zayn sends him back into the ring, sets up for the haluva kick, but the ankle gives out. He's super kicked and power bombed, and Owens pins him clean.
The match, I guess, was fine, but I really just found myself not caring. First of all, because it was the third hour, and secondly, my desire to see this feud has been completely extinguished 2 months ago, and that wasn't that long ago. So to do it again, I didn't care for it.
We've let the story play out with Sami Zayn on Raw, and I think it has just been such a misfire on their part leaving him here. Roman Reigns comes out at the end of the show to booze. We have not seen him at all. He stares down Owens. Jericho comes out in his maroon jeans, and then Mick Foley comes out and announces next week it's Owens against Reigns, and if Reigns wins, it's a triple threat for the title at Clash of Champions, and it ends with Reigns spearing Jericho as Owens leaves.
Yeah. So... yeah, we'll see if Reigns makes himself gets in the main event. But
I think next week is when Hunter shows up.
Okay. Overall, I thought the first hour of the show was strong. Second hour was okay. Third hour was awful.
Was that the hour with the New Day?
With all that stuff. Nia, everything.
Yeah, an awesome start to Raw. It did not last for 3 hours. So that wraps up the show for us. We are going to be back on Wednesday at liveaudiowrestling.com reviewing SmackDown as they head into Backlash. So we will chat with you then. For Wai Ting, I'm John Pollock, and thanks for watching Review of Raw.